I'd like to welcome you to Throwback Thursday. Today I'm going to be talking about Capturing Cara. Um, so my thought was, with Throwback Thursdays is that I could talk about some of the characters and where they came up with the idea, because that's one of the things that people ask me a lot is, is where do I get all of these different ideas and how do I come up with the characters? And I see that Dawn has got her team Spirit Pass going, so she wants Manakota and Aaliyah's story. So I know I've been having that story play in my head, and when I have them playing in my head, that usually means they're not going to be very far off. But I do have a long list, which I'm really, really excited about, and I can't wait to share with you some of the ones that are going to be coming up. So I like to bring in those personal experiences. And when I started writing Cara's story, hers is one of those that it starts out on the lawnmower and her driving it through town. Well, that was my nephew. He had gotten hold of, he was always, when he was probably about the age that I had for Cara there, he was always on the lawnmower, and he would be hauling butt up and down the road on it. He was using it kind of like a go-kart. And so every time it would break, the next thing you know, all the preteen boys were out there with the wrenches, and then of course the dads had to come, and so they were souping up the lawnmower, and then next thing you know, all the kids are hanging on, and they've got skateboards behind it, and rollerblades hanging on to ski ropes, and so that part of Cara actually did happen out in the front road of my house. So we were having the kids doing all of this. And we went through, well, we didn't, because I couldn't afford it. But my sister and my brother went through a couple of riding lawnmowers, old ones that they had gotten with the kids. And so a lot of these stories have facts based as to where they come out. Cara's personality, the not sleeping much, the bouncy ball, kind of thing, like you're like constantly going like this, and you're like, after about 5 minutes, you're just like, oh, give me something. I need something to calm down, because I'm like that. I have a couple of nephews that are very ADHD. It's like my sister-in-law would laugh and she would say, you have no idea what it's like to live with them. And it's just like, just being in the room with him, it's literally exhausting to watch him, because he's just like, a busy bee. And it's funny that I bring that up, because I had to do a video of me teaching, and it was like an hour-long, portion of it. And my husband got hold of the video, and he was watching it. And he told me afterwards, he says, literally, he said, you were just like all over the classroom. And he said, by the end of that 1 hour, he says, I was exhausted. I had to go to bed, because just watching you was just like, oh my gosh, So I may have a little bit of ADHD. I talk a lot with my hands, and I get pretty excited, but then I kind of crash. But these are things that I try to bring in from personal experience, that I know that they're funny. They also can be exasperating. And for somebody who's not used to that, it can be totally exhausting. As a classroom teacher, I knew if I handed out Skittles, there are certain color Skittles I never gave to the kids. To certain kids, like the yellows and the reds, but the yellows, literally, I was peeling the kids off the ceiling. Fluorescent lighting, I only turned one set of lights on in my classroom, so I never had both on. You could actually, I swear to God, you could actually measure the volume of the kids and the misbehavior of the kids if you had both of the fluorescent lights on. So I would just turn one on, and I'd use more of the ambient lighting, and that would help kind of soothe it out. So those little techniques are things that I learned when I was teaching, and I kind of brought those in with with the draglings, definitely, and with Cara's personality. So yes, the lawnmower incident is, we didn't have to go to court, but yes, we did have lawnmowers doing all that kind of stuff up and down the roads. And, dealing with the ADHD, with the bouncy ball, kind of like, high adrenaline activities, hyperactive type things where we're constantly on the go. And so these are things that I'm a bit familiar with. With Cara's personality, her love for tearing things apart and putting them back together, again, that has a personal touch with me. My first degree was in electronics, believe it or not. And this is back in the 80s. So what happened was, I just graduated from high school, was going to go to college, and I went to talk to one of the counselors there. And so they asked me, what do you like to do? And I said, I like to draw. But at the time, I wasn't happy with my drawings and my paintings. I told you this last week. So they asked me what else I love to do. And I think this is something that, and I'll have to tell you another funny story that goes with this, is that I love to tear things apart and put them back together. So I ended up in this program. And it actually, even though I did that, it actually helped me when I went into the classroom. It helped me in my personal life, just being able to do things, to fix things, and not be intimidated by it. But I think one of the best things is that I was able to take that experience, and it gave me more confidence. And then I was able to use it in the classroom for doing experiments and different things with the kids. And then when I got my master's degree in integrating technology, and then working in the IT field for the school board, I was able to use a lot of the knowledge that I had gained then, and it actually worked all the way through. So all of your life experiences come together, and sometimes when you least expect it, it's like it hits you. And I think I like to put those in my books because of that. So here goes the funny story that I have to share. They always say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, I have to say my daughter has not fallen far from my tree. I'll take credit for this part of it. Her dad can have all of the other stuff, but I'll take credit for this. So we go over to her house last night, and somebody had given her one of those fireplaces, the ones that you can turn on, the electric ones. Well, they had given it to her last year for free. And turned out that there was a little motor in it that was really, really loud. She could tell that the gear was going bad in it. So she ordered, granted, she went in, she opened it up, found out what she needed, and ordered it. So she bought this $10 part, and it took her a year, but yesterday, she decided she's going to tear this heater element part and replace that motor. Well, she ended up shorting things out, but that's okay. Luckily, my husband brought it home, and he was able to put a inline fuse in it. But the fact that she was able to tear it apart, cut the wires, put the new motor in, and she had all of that done. She had just accidentally rewired it wrong, and it just blew the fuse, and just had to replace the fuse on it. But I was like, yay! I can't believe it. Yes, she got that from me. She's not afraid to go in, and even if she doesn't know what she's doing, like with the wires, to go ahead and at least try. And I think that's all anyone should be able to ask, is at least try. Don't be afraid to. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to look at some of the questions and say hi to some of the people that have come. Let's see. I've talked to Mary. Hi, Mary. Nikki. Hi, Catherine. Jean. Hi, Jean. Hi, Misty. I've talked to Misty a couple of times. You're welcome for the amazing stories. Hi, Harley. I can't wait for a new one. I read them in under 4 hours. I won't tell you how long they usually take me to write. About 45 days. But... and then she says, I've read it underneath 4 hours. I'm like, God, if I could only... write that fast. I was telling a friend of mine this morning, I had a really vivid dream this morning, right before I woke up, and it would have been perfect for a horror film. I'm telling you, I really needed to write some horror stories because, I mean, this one was a doozy. So, very realistic. Very, very realistic. So anyway, she says, you know what, I've given up. I think you can write anything. And I'm like, I hope so. But I said, man, this one was good. I'm talking stitches in the head and all kinds of stuff. So it was good. And it's in Technicolor, so that makes it even better. So Angela says she's going to re-listen to Cara's story. Love the part when she found the naughty vids and added them. That one was funny because I'm used to working with like PVC, PVC piping and stuff like that. So when I was writing the story, just, I don't know why, but the thought PVC came up. And who knows, we could have been having a leak underneath the sink or something. And Steve mentioned we need some PVC glue or something. And I thought, well, what could that be? Oh, personal virtual companion. And then, of course, Cara being Cara has no idea what a personal virtual companion is. She sees video. She's thinking, what can I do with this? And so when I wrote that part, and you could just kind of imagine a guy who's so proud of, like this trophy up on the wall, and then finding out that it's, been made into a stuffed animal for his kid or something, that face just melting, and he's just like a little boy going, you took my best favoriteest toy and you did what with it? So when I wrote that part, I have to say I was laughing through most of Cara's book, but there was a couple of scenes in her book that had me bawling. When she was in the cave, and I hope I'm not, hi Rebecca, I hope I'm not giving away too many spoilers. I won't give too much. But when Cara was in the cave and all of those memories came back and everything, that was a tearjerker moment for me. And then when she was so lost, like she couldn't come out. She had gone so far inside of herself that trying to find out. Tamara says hello from Amarillo. Hello from South Florida. Hi, Jeanette. Or Janet. Hi, Kim. So what happens is when I wrote that part, I pull a lot from different feelings that I have on the inside. And I think what I did was I took a moment and I thought back to a point where I felt like so lost, where I didn't know how to come out of myself, how to deal with certain situations, where I just wanted to hide away. And so I basically wrap myself in those emotions and I relive them. And as I'm reliving them, I write about it. And it's I guess you could say it's kind of therapeutic, but it's gives the story and the characters a more realistic feel. And of course, there's other times that I've written stuff that, I've never experienced it, but I can put myself in that position and make myself feel, how would I feel if I'm there, if I'm going through this? And there's so many different incidences throughout history that in our world, that people have done things that have just been so, they've lived through such tragedy, and yet they've come out so much stronger. And I think as you grow older, you have more life experience. And so I tend to try to grasp onto those experiences and feel them and understand them. And, when I start talking about other books, I can bring in, how I've related to them. I've had tragedies in my life, and, you have to try to make that choice as to, are you going to let it define who you are, or are you going to take control and define how you're going to handle that situation. And so I keep trying to bring in those kind of life experiences into my books to make the characters more real.